Okay, welcome everybody, and it's a great afternoon to Dave Bandana and Peter Jones of the Bardic Depths. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
Good afternoon, Steve. I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, good, thank you. Good to be here.
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining me. In the main, we're going to be talking about what we really like in stories. That's the new LP, which is being released on the 7th of March. Excited?
Very much so.
Yes.
Oh, yes. We've actually sent out the CDs a bit earlier this time round. Somebody, one of the sort of retail distributors, decided to go a little bit early, which forced our hand. And so we've done that, and we've also released the Bandcamp as well, because it was pointless waiting for the people that had purchased Bandcamp to wait until the 7th. So yeah, it's out there now, and the response has been really, really good. We're really pleased with it. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Right.
Well, what I will do then, hopefully, when I get this video edited, is we'll get it out a little bit earlier, so before next Friday, and get it out there. And I know that this Sunday, my little spot on the Progressive Rock Show on Progzilla Radio features the wonderful epic Whispers in Space, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
Cool.
Thank you. That's great.
Okay, then. So we'll talk about the LP. We'll talk about the history of the band as well. But I'm always curious when you record and produce an LP like that. Obviously, I think, Dave, you're in Lanzarote.
Yep.
Near Mansfield, Nottinghamshire.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. And obviously, the other two are in different parts of the world. So presumably, all this has to be done digitally online, and then send all the files to Robin to work his magic. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. What happens is that I initially write the basics for the song with the lyrics from Brad Berzer, who's in America. So I'll put the basics of the song together, and then once we've got that on my system, then that gets sent out to the guys. They weave their magic on it. They send it back to me. I put that all together, and then eventually, when we're happy with the song, then I break it all back down again, and then send it to Robin, and then Robin puts it all back together again, but in his own inimitable style. So that's the process, and it takes ages because not everybody's ready to do their parts at exactly the same time. There's Pete's really busy with the stuff that he does. Tim's really busy with his. Everybody has lives, so it can take a long time just to put one song together. However, on other occasions, when we're already we're all together in a space where we're not doing anything and we can actually concentrate on stuff, then we can put a song together within a couple of weeks, which is really, really good.
Yeah, excellent. Because it's not that long since the release of the last LP, is it really?
It's 2 years. Yeah, it's 2 years. 20.
I suppose so.
Time has flown.
It has, yeah. 2022, and we started work on this one near enough straight after Promises of Hope came out. So so we're doing an album every 2 years at the minute. So that's not bad going.
Not bad going at all. So we've got the opener, Genius, and what I'll be doing, by the way, is I'll be playing obviously songs when I edit this video. There's a bit of a sense of the dramatic to pull everybody in. And then we go straight into the title track, which is about Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. I mean, basically, when I was listening to this, when I was thinking about what I would write and preparing for this interview as well, I mean, I recall back in the day, I used to love the Narnia Chronicles. I really should read them again. And I never really got into Tolkien as such until I sort of accepted it. It wasn't a fantasy set of novels as such. It was about a love of language and a love of history. But what's your relationship with them?
I read Lord of the Rings when I was probably about sort of 13, 14 years old, and then read The Hobbit after that. It was the book to go to when I was when I was 13 or 14 years old. We're talking about sort of the 70s.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with the story, with the characters. And you read it through once, and then when you read it through for a second or third time, you then start to look at the meaning behind the book, and what the actual story is that Tolkien's trying to portray, whether the good against evil, how one how good can turn into evil and then turn back again into good, etc. So yeah, it's a deep book, but you can read it on two levels. You can read it on a sort of a like you say, a fantasy level, or you can read it as a religious level if you want to, or you can read it as a philosophical level.
Yeah, the religious level is how I read Lewis, actually, funny enough. What about you, Pete?
Well, yeah, my knowledge of Tolkien and Lewis, it basically extends to the Chronicles of Narnia Narnia in C.S. Lewis's case, and Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit in Tolkien's case. I've never delved any deeper than that. But I mean, Lord of the Rings, especially, that was we were listening to. Me and my mates were listening to the BBC radio version, which I think came out in 1980, and we sort of all discovered it when we were 10. This was around about 1990, and we all had a copy of that. We sort of got our parents to we either copied it for each other, or we got our parents to get it for us. And it's so fantastic, such a great story. And I think we used to play it in the playground, and on the climbing frames and stuff. We'd be going up the mountains or into caves and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I love that. And, my wife's a big fan
it's funny
of.
you're saying that, because as I got older, I actually prefer to listen to things rather than watch things. I prefer to listen to things on radio as opposed. I thought the films were very good, but I think the radio adaptation was far better.
Yeah, I mean, Gandalf for me is always going to be Sir Michael Hordern, and if you say that to probably anybody below I don't know, age 30 or whatever, they're going to be who? There we go.
Yeah, no, it's great. So, I mean, there's a four of you, Pete, on what an incredible voice. And by the way, I thoroughly enjoyed your Christmas spot on Progzilla Radio Force. That was fantastic. Thank you. Gareth on guitars, Tim on drums, and yourself, Dave, bass and keys. It's a very talented collective. And I mean, obviously, without you wouldn't be doing any of this. Wouldn't have thought, Dave, without Brad on the lyrical side as well with you. So how did it all come about? I know the pair of you had a duet to start off with, didn't you?
We did. I met Brad back in 2015. I didn't meet him. No, 2012. I was just writing music with a friend of mine when I was living in the UK. And we sent some of that to Brad because I found out that he wrote for a prog magazine, online prog magazine. So I just sent it to him. I didn't know him. He really liked it. And we sort of struck up an online friendship. And when I moved out here, I was looking for a writing partner for lyrics, and so I asked Brad if he wanted to do it, and he agreed. And we made a couple of albums that are on Bandcamp, and then we were writing the third one. And when we were writing the third one, this was the first turned into the first Bardic Depths album.
Yeah.
And it took on a life of its own. It was the music was a lot better than what I'd written in the past. Brad's lyrics were great. We had a great story. But we were very limited in the fact of how I could play all this music that I'd written. And consequently, I then reached out to the Big Train forum to find out if anybody played any instruments and wanted to join up with me. The first person that came on board was Pete. Which was great because I was a fanboy at the time. I was a Tiger Moth Tales fan. That's the only way I knew Pete. And when he offered to play sax on it, that was like a Christmas treat for me. And then consequently, a few of the other guys came on board. If we reverse ourselves backwards now, all those guys have gone for one reason or another. At the moment, they couldn't do anything on the third album, so we've ended up back in as a four-piece. But that suits us fine at the moment because we can be very, very generic with the instruments that we're playing. So as you said, I'm playing bass and keyboards. and Pete's doing a lot of vocals and sax and clarinet, and Gareth's on guitar. So we've got very defined roles now within the band, which is nice.
Yeah, we should dispel the
sort of bit of a
rumours.
development there. And actually, sorry, Pete, because funny enough, yesterday I was thinking, I think you two have got quite a nice relationship musically and personally, because I was listening to the pair of you in Lanzarote when Pete, you went over to see Dave and play with him, yeah?
Yeah, that was great. It was kind of sort of jokingly after the first album, I think it was. I said, "Oh, well, I'll come over to you and have a holiday with you, because sort of back then nobody was talking about, you know, and big money, of course, and it being Prague, no one ever is, but So I said, "Oh, we'll come over to you. We'll have a holiday at yours." And Dave was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be cool." And sort of 3 years or whatever later, we arranged it, and it worked out well because Dave came over to see Big Train playing at Cadogan Hall.
Yeah.
Cadogan Hall, yeah. At the same time, I was doing my Mad Monsters Tea Party show where I kind of steal Big Train's audience or part of it for the afternoon, which is always a good time. And Dave came over, and Gareth came over. So I mean that was just to bring it back to the Bardic Depths. It was actually probably the first and only time that 3 of the Bardic Depths were in one room, and we got on the stage together and we did Burning Flame from the previous album, and that went down really well. And
Good.
Ever since, people have been asking if we're going to do a tour, but that was great. And then we went back to Lanzarote with Dave for about 7-8 days, and Dave had me on a right to busman's holiday. Had me on stage about 6 nights, so that was great. And we had a fantastic time with Dave. He looked after us extremely well, so it was a very fun time indeed.
It sounded fantastic. How long have you been over there, Dave?
I've been here 9 years now.
Right, okay, that's quite a long time. So a proper expat then.
Yeah, I hate that phrase, but that's it. We try to integrate as much as we can with the Spanish. But when you're living in Porto del Carmen, there's not that many Spanish people here. Having said that, I work for 2 Spanish bars, so that's nice. But yeah. So
well, in terms of the culture, because I'm interested with you two and the other two, and certainly with Brad, who I know is quite an influential writer in his own right in terms of the history side of it. I mean, so we've got a couple of you who I regard as being quite archetypal English progressive rock, and I think the pair of you'll know what I mean by that. Your old school Genesis, your Marillion, your Big Train, that sort of thing, and that's combined with an American influence. So it's a bit of a strange brew, really, but it seems to work. Well, I know it works very well because it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, and we've also got Tim's influence as well. I mean, Tim's come from he's a sort of a rock drummer. He's also sort of a prog. He loves a bit of fusion as well. So when Tim was playing back in the 70s with Steve Walsh in Streets, when Steve Walsh left Kansas for the first time, and Tim was a friend of a friend, and we didn't know who Tim was, and the friend said that he'd found a drummer for us, because I was looking for a drummer on the first album. And when he mentioned Tim's name, I just Googled Tim and couldn't believe the credentials that Tim has got.
Yeah.
He's played. Yeah, he's played with Glenn Hughes, Angry Anderson. He's just done a recording with Leyland Sklar. Phil Collins' bass player. He's just done a recording with him. So we've got ourselves a star drummer who's really, really down to earth and is one of us. He's one of the lads, sort of thing. So it's great. There's all sorts of influences, and that's what makes us so interesting, I think, because we're not scared to go outside of the prog genre if we want to. On the first album, there's lots of soundscapes and ambient stuff. There's even a bit of sort of up-tempo disco. We did a bit of 80s electronica on Promises of Hope, bit of folk, bit of Irish music, and on this one You know, some of these songs you could say they were sort of pop rockish sort of thing. Yes, we've still got our 2 10-minute prog epics, but we're not scared to sort of go outside of that genre and mix it up a bit. And it makes it more interesting for us, and hopefully it makes it more interesting for our audience as well.
Oh, it most certainly does, and I love that eclectic mix. I hate narrowing music and acts and artists into subgenres, or this sounds like a crossover track, whatever a crossover track is supposed to mean. It means absolutely nothing. And I love it's. I was listening to an awful lot yesterday, actually, and you know, there's jazz and folk, as you say, a bit of classic rock, bit of traditional progressive rock. So it's all very. It must be fascinating to be a part of piece. I mean, a bit of a contrast to perhaps what you would normally do, which is being more in control of your own music. Yeah.
Well, it's quite a relief in many ways, because yeah, I think this is I mean, I'm in several bands, but for Cyan and for the Bardic Depths, I don't do any of the writing really. That's all done by Dave and Brad, and on this album, some of it by Gary as well. I keep calling him Gareth. I'm going to change his name. So yeah, it's actually quite nice to have these things presented, and obviously I can sort of make my mark on them vocally or with the sax. But the music is really exciting, and I think with this third album, even more so, I think we're all invested. I think it's kind of concentrated things a bit, just having the four of us and knowing that you know, we were going to have to really sort of pull it out of the bag with the four of us. And you know, I think it's a great collection of songs, and I've been extremely happy to sing on the ones I've sang, and obviously play saxophone as well. And yeah,
well,
it's quite nice to have that writing duty taken off my hands. It's quite nice.
Yeah. Well, Dave and I exchanged a nice little message after I published my review on the website about, and I wrote that there was a wee bit, I think it was on Vendetta, a wee bit of a nod to Jerry Rafferty on the sax at the end, which I lovely exchange of emails with that, Dave.
I think that was more of a. I know exactly which bit you mean. I think that was more of a coincidence, really, but just seemed to finish nicely and bring it to a conclusion. You know?
I'd never even noticed. I'd never even noticed it until you mentioned it. But then when you hear it, goes da 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 da, and it does. It's got a little bit of Jerry Rafferty to it, but
it's the end where it goes. Well, it's the end where it goes. The sax goes.
That's what he means. That's the bit. Yeah.
Well, I'm certainly going to be playing that, and I tell you what, I wanted to ask you, Dave, on that, because what I really noticed, not just on this, but you know, virtually throughout, is this. And it's something I've always loved. And Entwistle and Squire were the two finest proponents. Is this concept of using the bass guitar as a lead instrument, almost as a lead guitar. Were those two a big influence on you? Because it certainly sounds like it to me.
I absolutely adore Chris Squire. I think he's a great bass player. However, my limitations as a bass player are very, very minute compared to the skills and talent of Chris Squire. So I tend to do the best that I can. I think that I do like a nice melodic bass. I like the fact that you can sort of play around a tune or whatever. The most important part of the bass, obviously, is to stick with the kick drum and create a groove. But at the same time, it's nice to have a little couple of flourishes up and down the fretboard without trying to sound too flashy or cocking it up at the same time. I think
you're a bit Squire-ish, actually.
Do you think so? Yeah, that's nice.
I mean,
I'll take that as a huge, massive compliment. And
it is.
Thank you. It's nice to be able to. This time on this album, I played all of the bass on this one, and it was nice to be able to do that. and have that sort of freedom to do what you want to do with it. Yeah, no, thank you, I appreciate that. But I know which bits you're talking about, and I think it's mainly on sort of Vendetta and probably on the stories track as well. But no, that's nice.
Yes,
I appreciate
think
it.
so. Yeah.
Silence is a fragile song. One loud noise and it is gone. Did you think to kill me? There's no flesh or blood in this cloak to kill. There's only an idea, that's all there is. Ideas are strong and bulletproof, and now it's time to face the truth. Look at all the playthings of the progressive eugenicists. Watch the body be constructed and contorted to the perfect race. Your signs litter the streets with hypocritical propaganda. Strength through purity, purity through faith. Strength through purity, purity through faith.
I thought I'd be afraid.
So, and I mean, we were talking before about the sort of differences and the wide range of influences there, and Old Delights, which is basically about Willa Cather, the American plains. There's an awful lot of Americana in that, and it's such a huge shift musically from Vendetta before it, and I absolutely adore that song, and I adore the story as well, and it's prompted me to read some of that work as well.
The whole idea of doing that, Old Delights was the last track that we did,
Right.
and in my mind, it was finishing Firth of Fifth, and then going into More Fool Me. I wanted that. I'm not comparing those songs to those two songs. I'm comparing the feel of it and the
I agree.
the way that they were so contrasting, and that's what I wanted to do with that. And when Gareth came, he sent me that guitar, just a guitar chord sequence that he'd bought a new pedal, and he was just trying this pedal out, and he came up with that chord sequence, and he sent it to me, and it sat on my hard drive for ages. And it wasn't until we needed another 2-minute song to fill out the first side of the album, and that I played about with that, and then sent the vocal over to Pete, and Pete did an absolute incredible job with that track.
Thank you.
Yes, you did.
No, I think it is. It's a bit like a sort of, the Vendetta is quite a heavy track, and then it's a bit of a sort of palate cleanser, if you want to call it that, in between whatever the next track comes after that. I've forgotten. I think it's
Feast.
Feast is
Feast.
over.
Yes.
Feast is over. Yeah.
So, and that's kind of quite a big track as well. So it's a nice little
I think it fits very well within those two, because I did want to ask both of you actually about, that some lovely segue into The Feast is Over, which is about I believe the suicide of Robert E. Howard, and you mentioned briefly before, Dave, about Promises of Hope, which I think is quite the most beautiful LP, a starkly beautiful LP, but the subject matter is, to say the least, challenging, as
Absolutely.
is this track. It's something that I am familiar with. Is this, if you don't mind me asking, is this a subject matter that the pair of you are just simply interested in, or is it something that's touched you personally? Or
no, again,
it comes from Brad mostly, doesn't it?
This track again is part of Brad's book that he's written called Mythic Realms, and it's more about Brad's interest in the writing of Robert E. Howard, and he wrote a whole chapter about him. But the first part of the chapter tells the story of Robert when he was 30 years old, and he found out that his mother was in a coma and was going to pass away very quickly, and Robert had an absolute fixation with his mother, and consequently wanted to die before she did. So when he found out, and everybody was trying to stop him from finding out because they knew what was going to happen, his father included, but he managed to find out that she wasn't going to live the night. He went out to his car, took out a revolver, and put a bullet through his head. Such a tragic way to end one's life. But it's an integral part of knowing who Robert E. Howard was, because writing wise, he was one of the first pulp fiction writers. He was probably the first fantasy writer, writing the Conan the Barbarian stories.
Yeah.
So it's an important part of that genre, but at the same time, again, another very tragic character. So that the fact that that's in his story there, we couldn't ignore it, and that's where the feast is over and the lamps expires was his suicide note. But that it wasn't his note; he took that from another book. But at the same time, in that song, we try to as well celebrate his writing and how he felt about his writing, to give the song a little bit of a sort of a bright side as well.
Oh no, I think that very clearly comes across, and I think I made some notes here, obviously, but in my review, I said this was it reminded me a little bit of the New York mining disaster from the Bee Gees. And what I meant by that was not just tonally, it was a way of turning a tragic story, which it is, clearly a tragic story, but into something of positivity, of beauty. Because I mean, Robert E. Howard was actually quite huge for me. That was my rite of passage, was Conan the Barbarian and the Marvel comics when I was 13, 14, 15. And it is actually, it is the most beautiful piece of music. It really is.
Thank you. I mean, what we also did as well, we wanted to make it not flowery, but we wanted to make it a sort of a choral type piece as well. We had the church organ at the beginning, which was Richard Kruger, another guy from America, doing the church organ. But then we had the nice sort of acoustic bit. We got a bit rocky and raunchy at the end, but in the middle we wanted, again, a nice little sort of choral Crosby, Stills and Nash sort of Beach Boysy type of harmony thing as well, to set it all up, to sort of celebrate a little bit of majesty about it as well. Yeah,
it's a huge vocal stack, and I think it sounds fantastic. And you mentioned the mining disaster, the Bee Gees track. I've always thought that Dave's a bit of a, I think he's one of the Bee Gees that, one of the brothers they never had. I think he's got a bit of that. He's got a bit of that tone to his voice, and I think sometimes a bit similar in the writing as well, in the music.
Yeah, no, I agree, Pete. But I think that's absolutely spot on.
Instinct found in every man, a reader's dream of strength and power, expression of their heart's desire. The feast is over, the dance expired. Feast is over, the dance expired. I've lived before, I remember all. From fruitful lands and cities walled. Nothing left in this fateful hour. Lift me on to the funeral pyre. The
time is against us, gentlemen, and we would absolutely be extraordinarily remiss, and I would shoot myself if we didn't start talking about the epic on the LP. I think Whispers in Space is just absolutely tremendous. As I say, I'm playing it on the radio tomorrow night. And in the review, I did mention, to me, as a listener and a reviewer, the influences on that, which I thought were quite wide-ranging. So I think I said Floyd through to Big Big Train via a bit of Marillion in the middle. But there's far more to it than that. There's some incredible mood changes. So over to both of you. You're the people responsible for it.
Where do you want to start, Pete?
Well, obviously, it went through a few different meanings, didn't it?
It did,
and what it turned into. I think was it one of the first songs that I recorded. I think for the album.
It was, because it was the first set of lyrics that I had from Brad, and we managed to. Gareth came up with that heavy riff at the beginning, the da 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 da. That's Gareth's riff. I had just a load of twinkly synths going on underneath that and everything. Gareth came up with that, and then that blossomed into the middle bit where it goes all nice and quiet and gentle, and then I came up with the chord sequence for the end that just got longer and longer and longer as we sort of built it up. So yeah, the what's the song about? Originally, it started off as three men, and these three men are three lyric writers from famous bands that Brad had a great affinity, or has a great affinity with. Okay, and if you're fans of these bands, you will know that the song is about these three people. If you're not fans of these bands, then you won't have a clue. So one of the people in there is someone recently passed, and we weren't too sure whether we wanted to highlight this fact or not, because the last thing you want to do is to jump on the coattails of a recent band and everything else. Nor did we want to upset anybody or to create any sort of bad feeling or whatever. So we sort of kept it a little bit in the background, and we made a focus to the front of the song, using a passage by a guy called Robert Rankin, who's an author that I absolutely adore. And I got in touch with Robert and said, can I use one of your songs? Because it would work nicely within this song as well. Can I use one of your lyrics? Not lyrics, passage from his book. And he agreed. He said, no, that's absolutely fine. He said, just send me a copy of the CD. That's all I want in return. Thank you very much, Robert. So Robert Rankin is the main feature of the song. For the beginning of it. However, if you listen through to the lyrics, and you'll notice that the first verse is just completely The Doors and Talk song titles. That's all they are. And then it moves on a little bit, and The Captain of the Sky Flies Again is the main outro riff with an absolute fantastic guitar solo from Gareth underneath. And as I say, people in the know will put two and two together.
Pete?
It's right up there with the album, because it's these lyricists and the bard. So that's what it's all about, and the stories that they created.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I said, it is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it. It's out now. I think it's fair to say that the commercial situation for most progressive rock bands, not all, but most, is challenging. I wouldn't say it's awful, but I would say it's certainly challenging. But I think that this LP, as much as I enjoyed the first two, I think this one takes it to a different level, personally. So what are your hopes and what are your expectations, not just for this, but for moving forward?
The hopes are that we sell out of the CDs. The immediate hope is that we just break even and we get our money back. But we'd like to think that we can sell more of this one than we could of the previous. We believe that it's the best work that we've done. And the main hope is that people get to hear it. That's the difficult part. The difficult part is, the easy part is making the album and getting it out there. The hard part is putting it in front of people that haven't heard it before. Yes, we've got our core group of fans, and we know who's going to buy this album every time we put it out. It's finding the people that haven't heard of us before that is the really difficult part. And if we can do that, and we can pick up more sales and more people interested, then that's a job done. It's great having reviews, and we really appreciate the review you did, because it was fantastic. It was a fabulous review, and all the reviewers and all the DJs that are out there that are playing us and promoting us, we thank them as well. The best way that anybody can help us as a band is by talking to other people about us, talking to friends that don't know about us, and if they do, then they can talk to other, and that's how it works. That's the only way we can do it. Putting a post on Facebook these days, it doesn't make a slightest bit of difference. It's people talking, and if we can do that, great.
No, Pete.
Yeah, the fact that they are talking, that's what's wonderful, and guys like yourself doing what you're doing is wonderful. And I guess we hope people enjoy it. And I've no idea what we're doing about the next album yet, but I dare say Dave will have something coming over the waves in the next, 3 weeks or something. We're gonna have a rest first.
I'm having a serious rest, Pete. I am. Yeah, I'm gonna have a serious rest. So we'll leave that one for a little while, but we'll see what happens. But I think this has got legs. I think this one's got legs, and if we can get it out in front of people a bit more, then we might have a little bit more success with that, rather than rushing out another one that for the sake of making another album.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and I do think that there is a vast untapped market out there. And I'm not going to call them progressive rock fans or folk fans or jazz fans. I think they're just intelligent music fans. And I think they are there to be reached. And hopefully the more that all of us try, both geniuses like you two who produce the music in the first place, and people like me that write about it and talk about it, I think I think we'll get there. There's an optimistic note to end on, hopefully.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Can I say to you, both of you, thank you so much for giving up your time to talk to me. Really, really appreciate it. Love the music. And with any luck, we'll speak to you very soon again. Thanks very much.
Great pleasure. And thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You did say, said Jack, that man descended from the noble ape, and the noble ape from you. I might have, said Darwin, but it really doesn't matter, said the captain. Soon we will all be nothing but whispers in space. And what does that mean? Asked Darwin. Look around you, said the captain. Look around the sky. Darwin did. Darwin shook his head. You see islands, you see fish, you see birds and kraken too. But you will notice that you don't see many men. I see you, said Darwin, and my crew of pirates. 18 number, a rather small tally of pirates, don't you agree? Where is this leading? Darwin asked. I believe, said the captain, and others before me have believed, others will not now, that this wonderful cloudy realm in the sky is but the portal to heaven.
Desire to find some new grass in and the riders charge. Thunder above and rumbles below. Three men face the storm with Venus in transition. They say happiness is easy if you try. The women of Los Angeles swoon. The color of spring delights. Three men face the storm. They ponder, they charge. The captain of the sky flies again. The